Well, good afternoon to everyone. How are you doing? You know that if it's Tuesday at noon, it is Thinking Tuesday, isn't it? So, thank you for joining me here in this space where we spend a few minutes every Tuesday at noon setting our intention to reflect on how we're thinking, what we're thinking, and how our thinking might be serving us and being bold enough to replace those thoughts that are not serving us well in our personal growth journey. So, this is about how we think, what we think, and what we're willing to do about changing our thinking to help us move in the right direction. So often we know what we're supposed to do, but change is hard. Change is hard for everyone, isn't it? But change is good and change is possible. So that's the message I want to leave you with for part of this message today. And the good news is that you are in the driver's seat. No one can change those thoughts but you. No one can engender new thoughts but you. As I've stated in several of my past messages, our thoughts are what drives our behavior. So, what thoughts are you having that are driving your behavior? We always want to check in on those. And our slogan really emphasizes that. Our slogan is Your mind is a garden, because it is. Your thoughts are the seeds, because they are. And you, yes, you, can choose to grow flowers, or you can choose to grow weeds, I'm sorry. So it's always a choice. It's always a choice, and you have the choice of what you plant in your mind and what you reap from your thoughts. And so we have to be good stewards of our thoughts and our thinking. So on Thinking Tuesday, we encourage you to pluck those weeds, the negative, self limiting thoughts, whether they develop from fear, insecurity, a lack of confidence, because we know all of those things can really impact our thinking. And we want to encourage you on Thinking Tuesday to plant flowering seeds, those thoughts of confidence, resilience, curiosity, those self affirming thoughts. That's what Thinking Tuesday is all about. So we want to encourage you to begin to plant those seeds, those positive seeds. So the other day, I was reminded about a common saying that I am sure a lot of you have heard, and probably you have repeated it as well, you know. But as I thought about it, I realized that it is an example of one of those sayings that, as innocent as it might seem, as often as it might be used to protect others, it really is a saying that is birthed from a self limiting thought. As I thought about it, that's what came to mind. Because many times we take things on, we say things, and we don't really fully understand the message that it gives. So that's what Thinking Tuesday is about. So, how many of you can remember the saying, curiosity killed the cat? Now, where on earth did that come from? And how many times has it led us to limiting ourselves rather than protecting ourselves? It may have cost you a great opportunity, perhaps, because you thought that you were protecting yourself from harm, from disappointment, from embarrassment, but instead, you missed a great opportunity to advance towards a cause that you believe in because you dared not question. Or You might have missed an opportunity to reach that goal that you set for yourself, or just growing in an area that can benefit you. So we have to be careful about these sayings that we repeat. For sure, I will be the first one to encourage you not to do anything that would bring harm to you nor any other person. But I will also encourage you to revisit that statement. Curiosity killed the cat. Because curiosity is an indispensable ingredient if you are to grow in the areas that you would like to grow in. You have to be willing to ask yourself growth promoting questions and be willing to find the answers that will allow you to experience yourself in new and transformative ways. So, curiosity killed the cat is not always applicable. In fact, many times it deters us from moving forward. Someone once said that the cure to boredom is curiosity, right? If you keep asking questions, you'll never get bored. You might not find all of the answers as you would like or when you would like, but it will keep you thinking, it will keep you researching, it will keep you exploring. So the quote is, the cure for boredom is curiosity, but there is no cure for curiosity. The more curious you are, the more curious you want to be. Well, who wants to live a boring life, a life of boredom? I'm sure that if I ask you to raise your hand, none of you would raise your hand because nobody deliberately wants to live a bored life. But sadly, unfortunately, many default to living a life of boredom because they are not curious. They don't ask that simple three-letter word, WHY. Why? That's the question that we need to ask. Now, as I'm saying this, I remember as a child and definitely as a teenager more, that I was the one of my five siblings to always ask why. I was always questioning, and it often got me into trouble. Maybe it was because I would question my parents' motives for saying no for something that I was asking for. I would never just accept no for an answer. I was always curious about the reason behind things. So it's no surprise, I think, that I ended up in a profession where questioning and self-exploration is key to growth and resilience. You know, my father often thought that I was questioning his authority, but I just wanted to know why. And several years later, we had a conversation, and he asked me, why did I choose the profession that I've chosen? And in that conversation, he began to understand a little bit more about why I asked so many questions and why I was never really satisfied with the wrong answers. Of course, back then I wanted to get my way, but my father was a very deep thinker, and I just wish I still had him around to have some of those conversations about the why, because he was a very avid reader, and unfortunately, I didn't appreciate a lot of the wisdom that he was trying to share back then. But fortunately, I did get some of it. So one of my relatives always reminds me that about me wearing my father down with those questions that sometimes he just gave up because they were too much. So back to being curious. That was my journey into curiosity, if you will, then. But so back to being curious. Does it really kill the cat? Or does it give the cat more insight about choices and opportunities for growth? What is it that you miss when you don't ask questions? When you're curious, you're introduced to a new world, new opportunities. You discover that you are not as limited in your options as you might have thought. And you find that there are few, if any, limits to what you can discover and how you can grow. So curiosity is a good thing. So I would like to encourage you to be curious because it propels you forward rather than causing you to retreat. Whenever you're curious about something, you're leaning into it, you're asking questions, you want to know. It allows you to look into, and that can be into yourself or into a situation that you'd like to learn more about. It allows you to look into yourself for that self-evaluation that's so important if we're to grow. Because curiosity is necessary and indispensable to your personal growth. So it doesn't necessarily kill the cat. And I think many times when people say that, it's an excuse not to venture into those areas that might be uncomfortable. So here's my question for you. Are you living a life of curiosity? Answer that question. And if not, why not? Why not? My favorite question, why not? Do you want to live a life of curiosity? That's my other question. Are you living a life of curiosity? And if not, do you want to live a life of curiosity? And if so, consider being curious and asking yourself the following questions, because sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to do certain things, but give yourself permission to be curious. You deserve it. So let me ask you these questions, and you can jot them down, think about them, meditate on them. But number one, do you believe that you can be curious? Because you can, and you ought to. Number two, do you have a beginner's mindset? Because it's never too late to start to be curious. So begin today, begin right where you are. Number three, have you made why your favorite word? And if not, why not? That was my favorite word, and it still is. It has to be. Number four, do you spend time with curious people, people who want to explore, people who want to ask questions, people who want to challenge you? They're challenging your thinking, and they're challenging the status quo. Don't settle for the status quo. The status quo keeps you stuck. Do you allow yourself to learn from failures? Do you venture into areas where you feel you might fail, but don't shrink from failure? Because only you determine if it's failure. If you learn a lesson from it, then it's not failure. You haven't failed. You have learned. So be curious. Next question is, have you stopped looking for the right answer? Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind, because sometimes we are so focused on the right answer that we don't allow our curiosity to take us to new answers that might be better than the one that you had. This other question has to do with, have you gotten over yourself? Because sometimes we just get in the way. We get in the way and we don't allow ourselves to explore and expand our thinking, to be curious. So get over yourself. And do you get out of the box? It can be scary to get out of the box, but it can also be very, very exhilarating. So learn to step out of your comfort zone and be curious. We don't learn in our comfort zones, we just become comfortable. And comfortable is not always healthy. Yes, we want to feel some comfort, but we don't want to stay too comfortable that we don't explore our surroundings, whether it's our internal environment or our external environment. And the last question I have for you is, are you enjoying your life? When you say you're enjoying your life, what do you mean? Re-examine your concept of enjoyment, because if you're not allowing yourself to be curious, there's so much more out there that you could discover that you're not allowing yourself to. So if you answered yes to all of these questions, then you are living, or certainly on your way to living, a life of curiosity. And if you said yes to some of them, try to change the answers to yes for the others as well. And if your answer is no, then ask yourself why, and begin to make those necessary changes to change your no to yes. You'll be better off for it. And you'll definitely see changes in your growth as you open yourself and see the possibilities and to find new opportunities, because they're there waiting for you. But you have to be curious. You have to ask why. You have to be open to finding new answers, new possibilities, new opportunities. So this year, like many of you, I have some areas that I'm focusing on. I am focusing on being intentional and taking action, even though it may be uncomfortable. But we know that we don't grow if we're just comfortable. I have to be willing to be intentional in those areas where I want to see myself grow and where I want to attain goals that I've set for myself. And the formula never changes. I have to maintain an attitude of curiosity. I have to keep asking myself if I want to find those answers. I have to think about how I've been doing things and figure out why I have been successful in some and not in others. I have to be willing to ask myself those hard questions about, without shrinking from the answers that will reveal themselves to me. So when you're curious, you have to be willing to go where that curiosity takes you if it's part of your personal growth journey. Let me ask you something, especially for those of you who are into physical fitness or any form of exercise. When you first start out, don't you feel discomfort? I remember feeling discomfort. Those muscles that we have not used, we feel soreness, we feel discomfort, we even feel pain, right? Those muscles that we have not been using. That's the muscles of curiosity that we have not been exercising. Sometimes you might feel like giving up when you're doing those physical exercises because you haven't used those muscles. But you might want to stop there. But you know that if you stop there, you won't stretch yourself in those areas where you want to stretch yourself. You won't strengthen those muscles. You won't get the flexibility that you want. But as you persevere in your routine, you will find that you reach your goal gradually. It takes time. If you're trying to become curious, you're going to ask yourself questions. You might find it difficult to ask some of the questions that you need to ask. But just like when you're in an exercise routine, when you don't mind the sweat and the hard work because you see you reaching your goal, you feel vindicated, you feel accomplished, right? You feel inspired and you feel motivated to continue the journey. It's the same thing about living a life of curiosity. Be willing to ask yourself those hard questions, those penetrating questions, although they're uncomfortable and painful to ask sometimes, but being honest in your responses and letting them take you into new insights, because that's what you're looking for. New insights and finding those new opportunities and those new possibilities, the new ways of thinking in order to order your life and remain open to new possibilities. That's what your curiosity is supposed to be driving you for, to at least towards. It's not as painful as it was initially as you continue asking yourself those questions. In fact, it becomes as natural as breathing is for you. So keeping yourself curious, asking those questions, using them as a roadmap to the answers that will benefit your growth will become second nature. But you have to start. Don't be afraid. I challenge you to be curious. Dare to ask those questions no matter how difficult. And don't be afraid to embrace the answers as they reveal themselves to you, because the answers will come. You just have to ask the questions. So curiosity does not necessarily kill the cat. So dispense with that idea, dispense with that thought. That's why we evaluate our thinking. We look at what we're thinking. What is it that's seeping into our actions or our non-actions, actually, based on what we're thinking. So curiosity is a value that you might want to adopt, that you should adopt, because it helps to stretch you, it helps to grow you, it helps you to look for answers, it helps you to find answers, gain insights that can help you develop into the person that you're striving to become. So that's my message for today. I encourage you, as I usually do, to share this message with someone that you feel could benefit from it. Share this message with your loved ones. You can either also take a listen to the replay if you've missed certain points. Remember that you can always contact me through my website to learn more about the programs and services that I offer. I also am happy to offer you a free, complimentary consultation, actually. If you have questions that you have that you're not getting answers to, or if you have some questions about next steps that you might want to take in your journey, don't be afraid to ask the question. There's always someone there willing to help you. So think about those things that you think, those messages that you take in that are not serving you. Question them. Ask yourself, is this thought, is this message helping me to move in the direction of my growth? And if it's not, be willing, be bold, be courageous. Be courageous to root them out, just like we root out those weeds that we talk about on Thinking Tuesday, and replace them with more positive, self-affirming, growth-promoting thoughts. So I pray that you will avail yourself of this new message that curiosity does not kill the cat. In fact, it promotes growth. It promotes expansion. Continue to evaluate your thoughts. What's working for you? What's not working for you? And replace them with what does. So take care. Bye for now. Be safe. Do all the things to mitigate against this new variant. Think about your loved ones, people in your surroundings, and be responsible as much as you can. So take care. I look forward to seeing you here in this space again next Tuesday at noon, where we elevate our thinking and we adopt new ways of thinking that moves us towards our growth and activate our potential. Bye-bye for now. Take care.